Manga versus comics is a pretty stupid debate, to be honest with you. That's kind of really where I'm kind of basing, today I'm going to honestly be talking about, a channel that on YouTube that personally I think that, you know, isn't really that great of a content creator. I mean, I think that there are a few of his points that are actually, I think a few points that he makes actually aren't bad. But personally, I feel like, when you really look at the grander scheme of things, this is just really one of those channels on the internet that, glorifies anime too much because of the fact that, even though I do agree, and this is where I'll give this guy credit, I do agree that Hollywood is definitely a very corrupt and very greedy place on earth. And personally, I do think that Hollywood has definitely, they definitely aren't really making anything really good now, really that much, to be honest with you. They make a lot of garbage that's just, uncreative and only made to make money and stuff. And I do agree with, I do agree, honestly, that, the comic book, I Am Not Starfire definitely looks horrible, and I would never honestly read it. But I do think that there is a problem overall with the whole argument, manga versus comics. Personally, I don't really see the debate too well. I think the biggest problem for me with, trying to understand that debate, and this is personally what I think needs to be said, is the fact that most anime and manga, like 90% of it, are terrible. As someone who reviews and watches and, is a kind of an expert on anime myself, I could honestly actually tell you that. And personally, I think that the fact that these people like It's a Gundam, Clownfish TV, and Yellow Flash, like all those YouTubers, I personally think that they're kind of really a bunch of clowns, really, and they don't really know what they're talking about. They're biasing their argument off of, people, buying these manga books, you know, more worldwide than, American comics. But here's the thing though. The reason why I believe that they're biased is because of the fact that what they're actually talking about isn't really that good of a work. Personally, I think that this is where I kind of get into my discussion about Demon Slayer a little bit. I've actually seen the whole first season of it. I didn't watch the second one, and I don't really intend on ever doing that, really. Maybe if you guys request that as a review maybe one day, but personally, I don't really have any real desire to honestly watch season 2. I've already watched all of season 1, and I didn't like it. I think the biggest problem with Demon Slayer for me is just the fact that, I think that it doesn't really take any risks with its storytelling, and it's just a very basic, dry show. I think it has, some issues and problems. Also, in case if you guys are wondering, this is what his avatar looks like. Just gonna show that for a second, so that way you know who he is and who I'm talking about. Demon Slayer isn't very good. I don't think that it's a horrible show. It's not literally horrendous. I don't think it's quite as bad as a few of the things as that I actually reviewed on my own channel, but it's definitely not that good. And another one of the problems that I will actually bring up is the character Zenitsu. I find him pretty damn annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that, whenever he was on screen, he was just, screaming at the top of his lungs. Like, in every single scene, he just acts like a complete, like, just kind of really like a weirdo. Like, he just screams and he just overreacts about at literally everything. And he has these weird moments, too, with Nezuko. And I just think that it's just a little bit off-putting to watch. Like, the guy has, a little bit of ADHD in the way how he talks and acts. I don't know. I just think that Demon Slayer was just kind of boring. Like, there just wasn't really that much to it. It wasn't, like, so bad to the point where I just felt my blood boiling, like, watching, like, every second of it. It was just, like, it was just dry, and it just, it just was boring, and I couldn't really, it just, it made me kind of really want to fall asleep, really, sometimes. I admit the animation was good. I don't think it's a badly animated show. I mean, I definitely think that I remember some of the visuals being pretty damn good. I liked looking at, like, some of the shots of the pink cherry blossom trees, and I thought that was cool. But overall, I just didn't think it was really a very good show. Also, I think that Tanjiro is honestly a pretty boring protagonist. That's another thing that I want to kind of mention. Like, his whole quest is, about, like, helping his sister. But really, in all honesty, he just doesn't really have that much character other than just being, a generic hero protagonist. And there's just, it's not that, like, he's, like, really insufferable as a character. I just think that he's just kind of bland. Like, the whole show is just very dry, very basic, and it's just, you can see that all the bad guys are just the bad guys. Like, literally just the bad guys. And you can just see the good guys as the good guys. And there's just not really anything else really to it other than that. You see that Muzan's a bit of a dickhead. And you see that Tanjiro is just your goody two-shoes protagonist. And, of course, he's just going to win every fight that he's in. And, I remember the one kind of bullshit moment, too, where, like, it was kind of like the power of friendship, but it was, like, the power of siblings, and then he, like, defeated, one of the demons, and I just thought it was a little underwhelming. Whatever. Overall, I would give Demon Slayer a 3 out of 10. I wouldn't give it lower than that, but I feel like it deserves a 3 because there's just not much else to it. There's just not much to it as a work. And I personally don't, and the reason why I'm just giving it a mini review in this video is because the whole bigger picture of what I'm trying to present in this video is that I don't understand the logic behind this argument that manga are just destroying Western comics. Personally, I think that argument kind of sucks, and it just doesn't make sense as an argument. And all these, like, nerd channels want to, like, spread this to the entire world, and a whole army of people are eating this up. But really, in all honesty, they're just listening to a bunch of people that don't act, I mean, that, or only, I'll say, are only spreading half-truths. That's why I'm calling them fools. That's why I'm saying that It's a Gundam is really a dunce. Because that's the thing. I mean, sure, a lot of these comics, I agree they're pretty bad. I'm not defending the American comics, but just because manga is from a different country and has a different culture around it does not mean that you should glorify and make it look like it's way better than it actually is. Because that's what I think these channels are honestly doing. They're trying to sell manga and anime as a product because since America is screwing up so much with what they're coming out with, and since people are so bored and tired, they're looking at anime and manga as like a different culture, so that way you can put your mind there and try to be one of them instead. So that way you're not disappointed with American stuff. And I think that's pretty stupid. You know, sure. I mean, like, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think that all anime and manga are bad. I mean, obviously. I do think that there are a few good shows that are made in Japan. I think Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is one of my favorite shows that came from there. Obviously, I love Neon Genesis Evangelion. Even though I hate the rebuilds, I love the original series. I think it's a great show. Sure, it's not perfect, and it's got, a few small flaws, but everything's got a few minor flaws. Nothing's perfect. I just think that they're making anime and manga look better than it actually is. And that's why I don't see the argument. Because you're just comparing a turd to another turd. So it's not really that big of a deal, really. I don't really understand what the whole fuss about this whole argument is. Especially since Demon Slayer is not even really that good to begin with. And people want to act like just because it's breaking all these records that it's a good series. Well, I have news for you guys. Especially for you if you're watching this video, it's a Gundam. Just because something, sells a lot and is popular does not actually make it good. And that's been proven many times. Just look at the Transformers movies made by Michael Bay. They make a lot of money, don't they? But they're terrible movies. See? Get my point? So, that's really just kind of the problem, really. I mean, like, do we really live in an age now where we just really think that, like, anime is, like, this superior medium to, like, all other things? In, even, like, the low-quality harem anime are just, like, the most well-written fiction in the entire world now. Do we really believe that something like Trinity 7, of all things, too, and I'm going to bring that up as one of my since it's one of my worst, it's one of the worst things I've ever watched. Let's just be real here. I think that show is an abomination. Like, do we really believe that Trinity 7, a thing like that, is honestly, like, one of the most well-written pieces of literature in the entire world? Like, come on, man. Like, see why I think that, glorifying anime is a bad idea? Just, looking at, like, garbage that, where the dorky main character is, like, getting all the women who want to, like, like, have sex with him for no reason. Like, come on, man. Like, that's stupid. Personally, I just think that it's an invalid argument. I feel like, these channels don't really know what they're talking about. And I actually had to put some thought into this. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And, it's, I gotta call this out at some point. I think that there's, a problem with, YouTubers, you know, like skewing the truth about this shit. And it's, a problem. Demon Slayer is not that good. Like, dude, like, you can talk all the shit you want about American comics and the entire, for all I care. And I'm not a big fan of, I mean, like, you know what? Here's what I want to say before I say this. People can like whatever they like. If you're, a woke person, that's fine. I have no problem with any people, any different people. I'm personally not a big fan of woke culture. It's just not my deal. I mean, of course I support women and stuff like that. I mean, God, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, I have moral values, of course. I mean, I'm not ignorant, but, I'm not, personally into gay stuff. No offense, of course. I mean, if you're gay, then, that's totally fine, but I'm not into that stuff. But, I mean, kind of going back on track with what we're talking about. I mean, I agree with, American stuff, like going down the toilet. Don't get me wrong, but it's just wrong that we're looking at anime and manga as like the only, solution to being able to find things that are good again. Like to even be able to find a good show to watch anymore at all. We live in a pretty dark age now, around the world. It's sad, but it's honestly true. I have to actually mention the fact that, there's not a lot of good stuff that comes out nowadays. It's very rare where something actually has, like, any unique or good storytelling in anything. I could hardly find any new good shows anywhere. And it is sad. I hope one day that we could actually find something good to watch again somewhere from some medium. I hope I get, to see a good show again where it actually has like cool epic battles and the show actually has a compelling plot and the characters are multidimensional and interesting. But, and I hope that it has, some cool romance and stuff like that. But who knows when we're actually going to get that again. It's just kind of sad to think about. And I do, admit, it's hard. You know what? I get it. We're all bored and we're all trying to look for something good to watch. But that doesn't mean that, we have to pretend that something is better than it actually is. And that's what I think that all these content creators are doing with things like The Rising of the Shield Hero, Demon Slayer, and all these other anime and manga that they're talking about. Primarily, I think it's with Demon Slayer, but I also have heard mentionings of defending garbage like The Rising of the Shield Hero, that I also think is a terrible show. And they even talk a little bit about Domestic Girlfriend a little bit, which kind of like shocks me because that show is repulsive, and I actually dropped it in 2 episodes. That show is really bad. I'm just kind of like, like, what are we thinking these days? Like, I don't know what where this world is really going these days, man. It really feels like we're really living in some dark times. We really believe now that anime and manga is God in this whole world. And we believe that, being a weeb now is just, if you're not a weeb, then, you're just an outcast in this world now to what the whole world thinks. That's why, like, channels like Anime Uproar um, and, and, uh, and some other channels, have, taken off and become, and Fox and Anime have become, big content creators on YouTube. It's because, as the West, continues to, like, try to find things, they're just, they're all catering to anime now. Because it's the only thing that we think that's left in this world to actually find good entertainment and to be, a nerd about. It's honestly sad. I never actually thought we'd actually live in a world now where we actually think that things like Trinity 7, that's just a completely mindless harem anime, is actually more relatable and more well written than, an actual real show would actually be. But that's the ideology that, It's a Gundam, Clownfish TV, and Yellow Flash are all trying to spread to you. They want you to actually think that anime and manga are flawless and they have nothing wrong with them as entertainment. Literally nothing, and are perfect. And mainly because of the fact that here in the US, we're screwing up. And over in the East, they see things through a different perspective, and they want to gear their mind being like them instead of here in the US, which I think is kind of a problem, really. Because here's the thing. Over there in the East, over there in Japan, they don't care what the West thinks. They don't care that we're different and we see things through a different objective eye. They can give two lesses of a shit. Because, even though, of course not all Japanese people are like that. I'm definitely not racist. That's bad. I hate racist people. People who, just judge people because of another race is disgusting. But I do believe that there are some things in Japan that are a little weird. And I hate saying that, but it is the truth. They do make some pretty weird stuff there. And I do believe that it does need to be spoken up like that more. I do think that, Japan needs to be said that they are a little weird sometimes. Especially since they make a lot of really strange stuff, that has a lot to do with things like sexual assault, which is an incredibly serious topic and not one that I ever take lightly. Sexual assault is disgusting. And that's why I think that, people need to honestly watch running their mouth about saying that anime and manga are the supreme almighty in this world. Because that's not entirely true. And I do think that, this debate between comics and manga is a little bit ridiculous when what you're comparing it to is not even that good to begin with. So this debate needs to stop. And it needs to be, replaced with something else. You could rant about all the American shit that you want, and that's fine. I personally agree with that. But don't act like anime and manga are the supreme almighty medium. And don't act like they're the king of entertainment. and they have nothing wrong with them. Personally, I think that, we need to reevaluate what our perspective is, and we need to start, looking at things through a different eye, because that needs to stop. And I think that it just needed to be spoken up about. I think that, when you're comparing something and when you're making a big deal out of it, you should actually, compare something bad to something good, so that way your argument makes more sense logically. But instead, they're just doing it more as culture rather than like actual, like, making sense and logic with what they're actually talking about. And that's why I think that It's a Gundam is an idiot. I think he has no idea what he's talking about. This argument needs to back down. He's a weeb propaganda channel. He's a weeaboo propaganda channel, trying to tell you that, all these things in anime are totally okay because they're different. They're different than what we make here in the US, according to his logic. But acting like a medium is flawless and over glorifying and, trying to make things look as good as they possibly can be because it's culture is not okay. And I think that manga versus comics is a stupid argument. Thank you for watching my video. And if you have any, questions or comments about this, please comment in the comment section down below. And I'm happy to discuss this topic as much as I possibly can with everybody who is on my channel. Thank you and for watching, and I love my subscribers, and you are all my best friends. I love my subscribers, and I love my followers, and thank you for supporting my channel. This is Lord Artorias Colbrand. I mean, I'm not going to always call myself that, but for now, I wanted to call myself Lord Artorias, and I have for, a few years, only because I named myself after one of my favorite characters in any game ever. And I think at some point I am going to change my name, make myself a little bit more distinguishable from that character. I'm thinking about actually calling myself Lord Altark Valkyrius and going by that name instead. Because I feel like, it's a little bit more original. And it doesn't just, it's not just off a character's name. But for now, I'm just sticking with Lord Artorias Colbrand. And when I have more subscribers, I'd say once I probably hit like maybe either 500 or 1,000 subscribers, then I'll change my name to Lord Altark. But for now, I'm going to just stick with Lord Artorias because it just sticks well with my channel. Thank you for watching my video. I tried my best to make my videos the best I possibly can. And I love having fun talking with people. I feel like this was just a serious thing that I wanted to bring up because I feel like this needs to be voiced out more. And I wanted this to actually, get a voice out more so that way more people could follow and so more people can stand up to people who are lying on the internet. Thank you and have a great day, guys.